weirdly enough, to be a pragmatic side, it's not the defence that is the main determinant of success. It's actually the midfield.
You say Morocco in the final. I can see them beating France.
I feel like, yeah, you're right. When it gets to about 60 minutes and they have put everything into it, Argentina, to try and win the ball back, and they've been frustrated by that press resistance of Croatia. I think Croatia are capable of holding on. They'll actually start coming at Argentina and start creating a few chances of their own.
So we've got two good storylines going. We've got Messi wins his first.
We all want to see that though, but
yeah,
you know,
I think it will. I think it's written. I just think it's written.
Welcome back to the Tactic Talk podcast. We're at the mid-season point of the World Cup 2022 tournament. You might notice we're in a bit of a different setup this time round. Halfway through, we thought we'd get something out before the tournament ended. Hopefully we can turn it over and get some clips out of the preview of, you know, some tactical matchups we can expect between the four teams left. We've got Argentina, Croatia, Morocco and France. Filming this a day after the France match against England. Just a quick one on that. How are you guys feeling? Obviously, we're different levels of England fans in this room. We've got hard Brexiteer to my
I'm not hard Brexiteer.
We got me, who's just not...
You're full Brexit, you.
We got Luke, who's Scouse, not English. So how are you feeling after the England match? That's the first way to start this.
I don't know. I feel like social media's reacted to it like being a complete. We've been robbed, like by the referee, but I feel like it was like both teams were at a similar level, just as good as one another, in my opinion. And again, people blame the referee in that, but we had 2 penalties to take a chance.
Yeah,
their goals were from open play, both of them. We had 2 chances from the spot and only took 1. So you can't be too disappointed. I think they've had a good tournament, one of the best we've seen, most entertaining for England probably in a while. It's one of them.
Yeah, I agree. I don't feel hard done by, really. I think the difference between the two teams was how good they were in moments. So obviously Kane missed his pen, Giroud took his chance, but other than that, there wasn't really much between the two teams.
I would say the possession. I'll have to get the possession stats up, but it did feel like the general consensus is the better team lost. You know, that's what we've been seeing on social media. That brings me to the point of what defines the better team lost, because I feel a lot of people look at it from a point of, you know, black and white in terms of possession, chances, who had more. But I still feel that throughout that whole match, France contained us very, very smart, you know, very purposefully, even when they didn't have the ball and they set back. And it brings me to the question that teams that have sat back this tournament and still look like they're in control, they seem to be the ones that have progressed to this point.
Yeah.
What do you make of that sort of strategy, that tactic to get teams far further into the tournament? A pragmatic setup.
I think, like you say, the team that has managed to keep the ball out of the net is the one that usually goes through. So
Michael Owen punditry there.
Michael Owen punditry. But Morocco are an example of it. Like, they barely go forward that much, and when they do, they usually take their chances. So I feel like in this tournament especially, we've seen pragmatism probably dominate.
As well, it's like, if you look at Morocco, they're probably one of the best examples of pragmatic systems ever. Like, they've conceded 1 goal as an own goal.
Yeah.
Like,
it was against Canada, was it? Yeah.
They've shut out every single team they've played against. And it's not like they're getting lucky in games. They look like the hardest team to break down. No one can get past them. Every single ball into the box is won. It's like they don't lose any 50-50s, any second balls, everything's theirs. And when it comes to taking the chances, I mean, when it's mattered, they turn up.
Yeah. With that, I will throw in some stats that I've collated against Portugal. So Morocco had 12 tackles, 58% of them tackles were won. They had 35 clearances in compared to Portugal's 2 and 9 interceptions. And that's just against Portugal. We'll start on them. We're going to cover all 4 teams that are in the semi-finals. Morocco have France to play. What should we expect with their setup? Open question against France. Anything different? Any key matchups that we're expecting?
Yeah, Hakimi and Mbappe.
Hakimi and Mbappe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Teammates down that same side. But to be fair to Hakimi, when you think of Hakimi, you think of someone who goes forward a lot, gets a lot of goal contributions going forward. He hasn't really been getting forward this tournament. He's been been staying back, being very like always in his bank of forward his team, always playing out that way, and he's rarely getting forward. And when he has got forward, he's looked really good.
Yeah, he just comes to life. He just goes.
He's been really, what's the right word? For like holding back.
Pragmatic.
Well, he's been very pragmatic in the way he plays, and it's working. The way he's banked, and it'd be interesting is in how will Mbappe go and try and attack them, because he's not going to have much spaces to take him on and get him behind. Yeah. Because whenever he gets past the team, there'll be another person waiting there, and another. It's got heckled. There's always you always have that one player there, so it's interesting to see how them two are going to have that battle.
So they'll double up. We saw the anti-Mbappe plan in action from Southgate. It looked like a man-mark job. I mean, we saw Walker for the entire night. He was staying behind Mbappe, did not let him have any yards on him at all. And it basically meant England were attacking with 10 men almost. That's how I saw it, at least. Do you see Hakimi sort of following Southgate's blueprint, or do you think there will be more of a gamble there?
I think they'll just keep doing what they're doing. I think there's even more consensus for Morocco to be even more pragmatic and stay back even more. One, because it's France.
Yeah.
They've got to play like Giroud in the box they're going to have to deal with, but also because they've got so many injuries at the back now. Because they've been so heavily reliant on the centre halves. I think they're down to the 4th and 5th choice now at the back.
Who, Morocco?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Aguero's out, Saïs is now out.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, it looks like he's going to be out anyway, because he had that hamstring problem, didn't he, against Spain?
Yeah.
They wrapped him up, and then he's come off again in that game. So I think there's more of a consensus to not take any more risks at all. Just do what they've done.
In terms of one thing about Morocco, we have talked about how they stayed back, but I think a big plus of Morocco and Croatia, for that matter, is the fact that their midfield is so press resistant when they do win the ball back. For example, with Morocco, we've had Amrabat and Unahi, who have been class. That press resistance has been combined with these pragmatic setups with Croatia. I mean, everyone knows about Brozovic, Kovacic, Modric, but it seems like, weirdly enough, to be a pragmatic side, it's not the defence that is the main determinant of success. It's actually the midfield.
Well, it's because when you start so deep, you have to be able to play out of a press, because naturally a team wants to come at you and meet you when you have the ball, especially a team like France, for example, which I expect them to do. So when Morocco are so deep, players like Amrabat will have to maintain that same press resistance and be able to play out of the tight areas, because France, I think, will come at them and see what they're about.
I'd say in terms of the teams Morocco have faced, France are probably the least likely to counter-press out of Portugal and Spain. So I guess at that point we can expect quite a very a cagey match, because Morocco aren't going to meet, like you said, you expect teams to be meeting like a team that plays so deep. Deschamps isn't, he's a very patient manager. He knows when he wants his team to press, how he wants them to set up. It's usually a mid-block. So in that sense, are we expecting something very cagey, another extra time penalty shootout type of thing?
Very likely. Very likely. I think if you look at the teams, so we've got Argentina, Croatia, haven't we? Then it's France, Morocco. I think both France and Argentina probably swapping who they're against.
Yeah.
In this game, because I think, like you say, Deschamps very patient. Doesn't really have the players that are going to take many risks in midfield. It's going to come down to the one-on-one battles on either wing, Giroud with his centre halves, and how many opportunities they get in this defence. They do not let up chances, and like Bonu in net, he's been an absolute fire as well.
Yeah,
his judgment's been unreal. So it's just the fact you just got to take into account, even if it is Morocco versus France, the world champions currently, you've got to take into account they've conceded one goal.
Yeah,
one goal. They've played Portugal, who scored 6 against Switzerland. Spain, who like Portugal and Spain, are some of the top goal scorers in the tournament, and they couldn't even get a proper clean chance against them.
Yeah.
So it definitely has the potential to be like you say with Deschamps is let's take our time, bleed them out. Let's just see what happens. Style of play.
Jack, before we get to the predictions, anything you want to touch on France? We covered Morocco in that matchup. What do you think France might change? Something to look out for in terms of France?
I think Morocco's major strength in that defence has been they've been heavily reliant on the centre halves, but I feel like the fullbacks are not getting enough mention, especially Mazraoui for me.
Yeah.
So I think France will probably. I think France again.
Oh, I think France.
I think they'll probably try and go attack through the middle.
Yeah.
And I think a key battle will probably be the Griezmann Amrabat battle.
Yeah.
Griezmann taking up that number 10 position where he drifts in and out of the pockets. And I feel like Amrabat has been so good this tournament. I feel like that is going to be a key battle in that game.
Just in terms of that, to highlight that Griezmann Amrabat battle that you expect. Sofiane Amrabat of the teams left is the second player with the most distance covered with 60 kilometres throughout the World Cup. And then something on Griezmann, he's actually the player with the most expected assists with 2.94 left in the tournament. That's just something that is, going to highlight that. And another thing as well, Griezmann, in terms of defensive line breaks, 11 throughout the tournament. The players left in the tournament with more, Mbappe with 13, Messi with 15, Modric with 14. So, I do feel like that Amrabat-Griezmann battle might be something. If Griezmann can get a few yards on Amrabat,
Can win them the game.
he can win them the game.
Really underrated tournament, by the way. He's not going to mention Griezmann, but he's been unbelievable.
Oh, he's been quality. He's been quality.
Up for team of the tournament, do you reckon he'll get in?
There's a lot of big potentials in there. It depends. You never know. There's still
That's
two
a
games
whole
left.
conversation, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
A stellar
Got to
performance
plan it
against
out.
Morocco, World Cup final win. He's got to be really, hasn't he?
So we'll move on now. We've got France-Morocco out the way. We'll move on to Croatia-Argentina. Croatia beating Brazil in the penalty shootouts, and then Argentina beating Netherlands again in a penalty shootout. Just in the nature of how they've got to the semi-final, do you think fatigue's playing any part in the next match?
I'm not 100% sure. It could do, but I feel like you'll see the fatigue come to the more injury-struck teams. I don't think the teams that haven't really had a problem will be fine. Especially there'll be a lot of adrenaline and stuff like that. They'll be playing on energy they didn't know they had. Especially with what rides in it for both teams. I don't think that'll be too much of a problem, but I think this will be the more entertaining of the games.
Yeah. With that, I'd say Argentina could be described as the team that take it to the other team the most left in the competition. Mm-hmm. And then Croatia are the team that have been known as the press resistant. Mm-hmm. They'll play around it, they'll slow the game down. Do you think that, again, that I'm trying to throw it back to fatigue there. If a team's coming at you more, they're expending more energy to get there. If Croatia see Argentina out for the first 60 or so minutes, is that an advantage for Croatia?
Well, I feel like if Argentina are going to be the team that comes at them, especially with Croatia's press resistance, which has been probably number one for me this tournament. I think it's better than Morocco's.
Yep.
I feel like, you're right. When it gets to about 60 minutes and they have put everything into it, Argentina, to try and win the ball back, and they've been frustrated by that press resistance of Croatia, you are right, that fatigue will probably come into it. They'll probably start getting a bit more space and then start going for it about the 70th minute.
So how do you see the timeline of that match panning out? We'll get sort of into the predictions here. How do you see from first minute to 90th or maybe even 120th? How do you see it?
There's going to be a lot of pressure on Croatia early.
Yeah.
I think Argentina's big players are just going to go and get the game done early. So there's no problem, say, like that Brazil had.
Yeah.
Just because if you look at the game that Brazil had against Croatia, I think Brazil they tried to control that game a bit too much.
Yeah.
Instead of getting the angles in the game they probably wanted. Because if you look at what Argentina have done as well, especially against Netherlands, they seem to commit quite a few players. I think obviously they were playing the game. They were playing a team they were against. But you're going to see a lot of runners from Argentina to try and throw them off, because I do think that obviously the most press resistant Croatia, but defensively, will they get with someone like Messi to manage Brozovic, Modric? How well will he do covering him, because he's been unbelievable this tournament. So I think for the first 30 minutes especially, I think it'll be more than like the first 10, 15. You've got to try and stop Argentina getting one, because trying to get back into that game when Messi's picking them passes, Julian Alvarez is making them runs, they can win the game in the first half. So it's really important for Croatia to keep them out.
I think they're capable. I think.
Who's that? Argentina?
I think Croatia. I think Croatia are capable of holding on. And I feel like when it gets to about the 60th, 70th minute, they'll start throwing a few men forward. Juranovic, for example.
Yeah.
For me, for Croatia, has been
the Celtic right back.
Yeah, he's been quality. And yeah, I feel like it gets to about 60th or 70th minute, they'll actually start coming at Argentina and start creating a few chances of their own. But prior to that, they'll try and be as pragmatic as they can be.
With that, in the first half against Brazil, I think there was a period of like 7-8 minutes where Croatia just popped it round for like, I think between the 25th minute to the 35th minute, and it just completely frustrated Brazil.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch.
I'd say it was quite boring to watch. They were just passing it around the back.
But
I understand the purpose of it, but it's just like
when they play it into midfield and then move it back out and just move the whole team around, it's beautiful to watch, I think.
I think about Croatia, everyone will you look at your Modric's and players like that, but I think you've got to highlight the most for me. It's got to be the back five. That's including the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
Livakovic, however you pronounce it, has been unbelievable. Goalkeeper of the tournament. Yeah, him and Yassine Boni have been the best.
Yeah,
but the penalty saves and in just all round game, he's been phenomenal. But I think the whole back four needs some recognition. Not because Josko Gvardiol's completely taken the headlines. Because let's face it, he's been unbelievable. Proper breakout tournament, showing he's one of the elite centre halves in the world. But Juranovic, Lovren, Josko, and Sosa have all been amazing. They've not put a foot wrong in any of the games. So I think they deserve as much recognition. Maybe not as Morocco because of how well they've done, but just as much for their defence. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
I will just add to that Livakovic comment. He's made 23 saves this tournament. The next closest is actually Hugo Lloris, left in the tournament with 8.
Wow.
Bonu 5. Emiliano Martinez
15 more saves.
That was who scored. They tweeted that about 3 hours ago. But that's a ridiculous.
Fair play. That is so
Throughout
good.
the pod, though, we've literally focused on defence and midfield, and it literally shows
pragmatism
does the most. We will switch it a bit though. I want to ask you about the Argentina attack. Of course, this year it looks like Messi could go all the way, and weirdly enough, in previous years he's had the likes of Higuain, Di Maria more so because he's played every match. Players that you'd expect to are bigger names than the likes of Lautaro Martinez, Julian Alvarez, Rodrigo de Paul,
Alexis
McAllister as well. What is it that these players, the supporting cast, have provided Messi that the other players haven't?
More energy, more movement around him. For me, it's the more movement. I think, especially if you watch the game against Saudi Arabia, I think they found their lineup. Especially when it came to match day 3, I really feel like it's Scaloni, isn't it, in charge? He found his team. He found that he wants De Paul, obviously, to just do the hard yards. Enzo Fernandez has been unbelievable in the spaces and just getting forward, potentially becoming another attacker. Then Alexis McAllister, Julian Alvarez all coming in. Because I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Julian Alvarez, Alexis McAllister and Enzo Fernandez were all on the bench match day 1.
I believe so, yeah.
I think so. And I think they came on and made an impact in match day 2. But I feel like these guys, they just give something different that Messi he probably has had, but the way they all work together, especially after, I feel like there's been one you have to massively highlight, even though Alexis McAllister's done really, but Julian Alvarez, his movement, shifting across the back line, dropping in when he needs to.
Yeah.
What they're all doing when they're all moving like this, you see, for example, sometimes you might see Alexis McAllister just walking around, just in a figure of 8 in different spaces.
Yeah.
But he's just freeing up Messi. They're so clever in what they do.
They're all counter movements for where Messi stood.
Exactly.
I think the main one, the counter movement that I've seen is Rodrigo de Paul. I've got down here. He's the player that's ran the most for Argentina. 52 kilometers he's ran, and I bet a large majority of them sprints and that running is to run into that right wing spot that Messi leaves, or to do the hard yards back when they get dispossessed and they turn over the ball. The counter movements of the likes of McAllister, Julian Alvarez, why is that works when other players like of the past, arguably bigger names, Higuain, Tevez, Di Maria, why is these names works next to Messi more so than...
I think they're just more, their profiles are just more complementary to Messi. So players like Higuain are going to be want to be the focal point, basically. So does Tevez. He will do the hard yards, but he doesn't necessarily complement Messi in the same way. I feel like now in this Argentina team, Messi looks like the focal point. It looks like they're all moving in the direction to get Messi the ball and give him the moments. Even if he's not scoring the goal, he's playing that pass to Molina, which was unbelievable.
That was ridiculous.
Well, didn't even look. We didn't even look to see who was there. He just knew how to put it in that area.
And it just felt like this time he's getting those moments so he can do what he does best. Whereas in previous tournaments, he's probably been moving in a different direction to the rest of his teammates.
Yeah.
I think as well that these players that are playing around him, Julian Alvarez, the names we've mentioned, they're not expected to deliver the big moments.
Yeah.
But players like Di Maria and Higuain, who are goal scorers and creators in their own right, they don't need to supply these big moments, these big plays. It's to free up Messi, because he's had every single game in that palm of his hand. The whole thing is to get Messi free, and these guys just do the movement around to ensure that he is, and that's why he's having an influence in every single match.
So we've sort of done like a little breakdown of both semi-finals. I'm going to ask you for your result in both semi-finals, and if you get this perfectly right, I'm sure this will go viral. So fingers crossed.
Do you want me to go first?
I mean, you've got most of this tournament right. So
well, my final was Argentina-France.
Yeah.
So I'm going to predict it's going to be that. Obviously, I'm going to stick to my guns because that'll look bloody brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-1 to Argentina against Croatia.
Right, in 90 minutes?
90 minutes. I'm going to go, it'll be an Argentina lead. It'll be a surprise Croatia. Like you say, for example, like the equaliser against Brazil. It'll be a surprise moment for someone like even Perisic or something. And then I'm going to go for, obviously I'm going to say it's going to be this. It's going to be a late Lionel Messi winner. He's going to take the roof off.
Give me the minutes of the goal.
Right,
Get me excited.
Okay, first goal.
Who's scoring it?
Alexis McAllister. 1-0 in 17 minutes.
17.
Perisic equalises for Croatia in 77.
Oh shit, it's getting late.
Then an 88-minute winner by Lionel Messi.
How's he scoring?
How's he scoring? Oh, let me tell you. So, what's going to happen? He's going to be one of them. It's going to be a bit one of them moments, a bit like the Australia goal. It's like all up in the air, bit raggedy. Everyone is getting a bit about Croatia just getting it out, and it's just going to fall to Messi. One touch out of his feet outside the box, he's going to bend it into the far corner, and everyone's going to be like, ah.
Mate, if this is correct, I'm just getting the Andrew Tate music, and you're just like just whacking that on the background, and you're just describing Messi's goal in the future.
You know that viral TikTok that went of Brazil beating France in the final that went mad?
Which one's that?
This guy
the time traveller. Yeah.
That's well, you did well. Didn't you?
You know better.
You lied. But I think that'll be me next.
Yeah.
But no, then
you're the time traveller.
And it's me.
Yeah.
You're like Stephen Hawking.
But then Morocco, France. 1-0 France.
1-0 France. All right.
After extra time.
Who's scoring?
I'm going to go with a bit of a weird one. He's scoring the goal. I'm going to go with Jules Koundé.
Jules Koundé?
Just pull that out. I can see the cogs turning to pull it out your ass.
Yeah,
like.
Jules Koundé. No, mine. I'm going to go with... Actually, I'm going to go with somebody. He's already scored this tournament. I'm going to go for another one. I'm going to go Adrien Rabiot's going to win it.
Rabiot. Right, Jack, I want you to put the timeline on the France-Morocco match. We got Luke with the Croatia match. I want the exact timeline.
France-Morocco. Okay. I think it's going to be 1-0 France.
Right.
The thing is, he said Argentina, so it's like, ooh, Messi scored a goal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, if I'm talking about France, I'm not really excited. I don't really want them to win the same way. So I'll just say a late Giroud header, 83rd minute, 1-0.
Quite exciting, to be fair. We take that. But yeah, I'm going to go a Morocco-Croatia final. No, I'm really not. I'm going to go Morocco-Argentina final, just out of hope. I'm going to say...
Morocco-Argentina? By the way, I think it's France-Argentina.
But the thing is, though, when you say in Morocco, I don't think on paper, start the tournament, you say Morocco in the final, you go, that's such a bad chat what you're on about.
Mate, Samuel Eto'o put it and literally got rinsed by...
He also had Cameroon there as well. But if you said that pre-tournament, obviously, you got, like I say, something that's completely ridiculed for it, but I can see them beating France.
I'm not sure. I was just saying that just to spice things up.
But the thing is, though, the momentum they're taking into that tournament, like I said, they will not want to be playing them, France, because it's a horrible game to play.
Yeah,
Croatia could beat Argentina as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Like it's fully. I actually think if I'm making a bold prediction, obviously I think it's.
Look at this fence sitting going.
No. I think.
But you make the prediction. I'm making a bold one. Though.
No, I think it's France-Argentina final.
Yeah,
and I think Messi wins it late. Like,
are we talking about the final now?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I just want that dream, but I genuinely think Croatia.
You don't genuinely think it.
Well, no, I think they could. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I don't think it's going to happen.
The last final was literally Croatia-France.
That is true.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go off not the bold prediction, but the real one. France-Argentina is what we're both saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Talk me through the timeline of how that would look. Talk me through the tactical matchup that we could expect between France and Argentina.
Keep Messi out. That'll sort of be, it'll be, like we said, it'll be the usual France we know.
Yeah.
But I do think that if you're going to actually look at that game, I think the team probably doing quite a lot of majority defending is also Argentina. I think it'll be a very close game in that sense.
Who's got more possession, do you reckon, out of them two?
I think Argentina.
Yeah, Argentina. Because I think France will be clever. They know they can let them onto them a little bit.
Yeah.
If they get that one moment, slight mistake, misplaced passing, spring down the wings, and they've got someone like Giroud who can just pull off when you don't expect it.
I mean, that was in round of 16 when Mbappe was riddling Marcus Rojo. Was that 2018? Yeah, it was 2018. Yeah. So, so what's the timeline, Jack, of the France-Argentina final?
France-Argentina, we all want to see a Messi winner. So I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say something different. I'm going to say Mbappe scores early.
Yep.
Scores maybe about 10th minute. Messi equalises with a penalty. And then I think Giroud on the biggest stage. Giroud, honestly. I think he's just got that in him. I think he's just clutch.
Yeah.
And I feel like 88th minute, Giroud winner, 2-1.
And France become the first team since Brazil, I think, to get two back-to-back.
60 years, isn't it?
Yeah. So
since Pele.
So we've got two good storylines going. We've got Messi wins his first.
We all want to see that though, but
yeah,
you know,
I think it will. I think it's written. I just think it's written.
Right. Yeah. So Tactic Talk predicts pretty much anything can happen. Is basically what the prediction is.
What's yours?
Who do you think's winning?
Of the final?
Yeah.
Shall I just go Samuel Eto'o and just say Morocco in it? Now I want to say Messi wins the World Cup, but in the final, it's the supporting cast that carries him to it. It's not him.
That's a good story though.
So that is the Tactic Talk prediction. We've got Luke going with Argentina, I'm going with Argentina, and Jack's going with France. Thanks for watching.